Welcome to Ignite Interviews. I'm Cyndi Donahue, and I'm very excited to be speaking today with Joel Barbour from the Great PNW. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so excited. Sometimes I geek out during these, and so with you, I'm kind of geeking out because I love the Great PNW.
Yeah, cool.
So you are a graphic designer by trade, is that right?
Yep.
And so what inspired you to decide to start this company?
Truthfully, just doing graphic design. I was working at an agency, doing national work, but I was doing a lot of like skateboard design and t-shirt design for my friends' skate shops, like kind of all over the Northwest. And I would do them, and they would like I didn't have to buy a skateboard for like probably like 7 or 8 years because I would just design them, and they would just give me stacks of boards. And
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and it was great because they're like, oh, these are selling so well. The t-shirts would sell so well. And around the same time, I was filming a ton of skateboarding with my friends, and we were taking road trips, for like a week around the Northwest, just like camping and skating, through Washington, Oregon, Idaho. And I just was like, there's no cool clothing company that embodies all this cool stuff we're doing and how great this area is in the Northwest. So that's Kickstarter. Kickstarter was relatively new at the time, and I just grabbed my best buddy Mike Miller. I'm like, hey, dude, just film me talking to the camera. I have this idea to do a clothing company. He's like, sure, all right. So we went off high drive and filmed Kickstarter. And
so cool. So you wanted something though that embodied the feeling of the Pacific Northwest. Like you didn't feel like there was anything that really expressed that for you.
Yeah, no, not at all. None of the graphics were really cool. They were just like gift shoppy, and like you could find probably that same templated design in Lake Chelan as you could in Manzanita, and like this very touristy,
like magnets.
Yeah, exactly. And those are kind of cool in their own right, but like from a brand standpoint, they're kind of graphics. They're not really a brand, So, and growing up, skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding, racing motocross, like the action sports stuff the brands are so ingrained in that activity that it was almost like second nature. Like I kind of already knew what to do from watching all the videos and the magazines, and I knew kind of what needed to be done. So I was like, I should just try. Like, let's just do it. So
how long did it take for it to kind of take off? Did it happen really fast? Did you grow really fast, or did it take a little time in the beginning?
I mean that's all kind of relative.
Did it feel fast?
To me, it did. It took about. I did it on the side while I was working at 7-2, which is the ad firm I was working at. So I did it on the side for almost 2 years, and I just I really get my work ethic from my dad. So like I have no problem waking up at 5. I'd work until I had to go to work, and then do that all day, come home and work till 10, 11 o'clock and work on this like side project I had, and literally started in my basement, like shipping orders out of my basement. So I just did that, and I was like, I'm just gonna do this till this just breaks me. And I definitely had that moment in my backyard with my son, and I just hit a wall, and I'm like, yep, okay, I have to tell Tyler on Monday, like, cannot do both. So
and that's Tyler Lafferty.
Tyler Lafferty,
yeah, he's on our board of Ignite, so that's why I know who that
is. Yeah. And what's really cool is over the years is like he's become a really good friend, and like I was telling you, I was texting with him earlier, and he's really been my mentor through this whole thing. Even when I had to tell him I was leaving 7-2, like I cry pretty dang easily, so I was bawling. I'm like, Tyler, I'm leaving because I truly loved going to work every day. A lot of my buddies worked there, and Tyler just stands up and he just gives me a big hug, and he's like, this is what we've wanted since you started this. And just him saying like, this is what we've wanted, like, it was just really cool. He's been like rooting for me to like live out this kind of dream I have, and like not trying to hold my talents so tightly as an asset to 7-2, and like,
he wanted you to fly with your vision and go. Did his leadership style inform your leadership style now?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like, even like the layout of our building that we built, like once it came time, a few years down the road after we started, a few years ago, I built a new facility, and like at 7-2 at their office, like it's a lofted, like in the middle, and you can see down to both sides, and there's a gym downstairs. Like I just replicated that same thing because I loved it every day, and I'm like, this works. And it's also just kind of architecturally pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, even and then from a leadership style, I will say he's very like maybe not working with employees, but as far as just like the creativity, and he really, when I was there, he really just let people do what they're really good at. I think he's probably has a lot more structure than I do. But watching him, and he was, he like is a very gracious, giving person. As working for him, it was always over the top for the employees. And that's.
So you try to emulate that with your team, and
we really do. Yeah. So.
But did they have a Rainier beer machine?
Yeah. I definitely remember other times like it's 4:00 on a Friday and Tyler has a cart full of what I'll mix you a drink. What kind of beer do you want? And then there's sodas and stuff. But like he would come around, and that's where I'd say we might be a little bit more relaxed. We have a much smaller team, and kind of around like 3:00.
How many people are on your team now?
Between the Great PNW and Bison Printing, which we started, I think there's about 12 or so.
So it's a pretty small team between the
totally.
two. And when did Bison, so we're talking about the Great PNW, then Bison Printing, when did that start? Yeah,
so Bison Printing, we're all in one building. So when I built this new facility, we put a print shop in the back. It's completely separate business, completely separate P&Ls, all that stuff. So that started about 2.5 years ago or so. And that was like, I was printing every single week with another print shop, and truthfully just like ran the numbers, learned how much the equipment costs, employees cost. I called my good friend Grayson up. I was like, you want to start a print shop? After about a year or so of just planning, as the building's getting built, we opened Bison Printing, and we print for a few hundred other clients on top of the Great PNW. And we actually, like this week, it'll be really wrapped up next week, but we just put a 5,000 square foot addition on the building for Bison Printing because it's growing so fast, because we really built that team very similar to the Great PNW team, where it's like a lot of, most everybody there is like, we've either known them personally for years or like they're a close friend of a close friend. And like
that's kind of a theme with you. I love that because you're from Spokane.
Yep.
And so when you had the philosophy of the Great PNW is to what was the question again that you asked, or that's kind of the philosophy?
Oh, like with all the graphics and all the designs and all the products we put out, we really try to sit down and be like, does this allow people to express their love for the Pacific Northwest? And it's not every graphic's going to strike a note with everybody, so that's why we have to have these bigger collections where there's a little bit for everybody,
That kind of embodies that. And then with Bison Printing, do you also have a philosophy that's similar, or is that how you choose who you choose to work with? Or
no, with Bison, we really what's nice with that is we really get a lot of like creative clients who want to do different stuff. So I think what's cool is they're willing to like kind of push out of the norm of like, a lot of businesses, say bars or restaurants or whatever, like, oh, just put our logo on a shirt. But we're like, look, we can design you like something custom. Like we have great designers on staff. Like you'll sell more merch. It'll look better. And because they're, they might not make a ton of revenue off merchandise. They may order once a year. And we're just like, let's let us prove it to you that like well-designed merch will make you more money. And then
so it's not just a logo, it's the feeling of a brand, just like you were doing with the Great PNW, so like expressing a feeling. And then how many artists do you have on staff?
Including myself, and then we have 2 designers, and then a video and photographer, and randomly our seamster Michael, who does all of our headwear. He's actually a really good videographer, and we didn't know this when we hired him.
Hidden talents.
So like he'll go and shoot stuff for us too, when just in between headwear stuff, because we do all of our own headwear too. And that's what's great too with Bison is like we have a lot of these resources that we've learned over the years through the Great PNW that we are able to just like open up to like any other business wants to work with a lot of these other facilities, and be able to manufacture products that like the same stuff that we're like putting in REI. Like we can make that intro and make that happen. So
And you have a lot of partnerships. So tell me about some of
Yeah.
your partnerships, like
Yeah.
No Lie Brewery, right?
Yeah.
House, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then Rainier is one of your
Yeah.
larger ones. And what
Yeah.
else do you have? What other partnerships
Um,
are there?
One we have coming up soon is another Seahawks collab. That was pretty cool. We did one last year. It went well. Wish they had a little better season, but super super fun. Like the people over there were just very normal, down to earth. It was when I had to get on Zoom calls with the NFL. That was like very intimidating, and it was like they were actually it was pretty cool because they were like business women, like very serious. They only scheduled 30-minute calls, and they were off in 30 minutes. I'm like,
Very
you guys are
corporate.
like getting shit done. Like they were no BS, not a lot of emotion behind it, just very businessy.
Which is so different from your style, which is very
Yeah.
like emotionally driven. I mean, even
Oh,
your products
totally.
are that way. That's so
Yeah,
funny. When
yeah.
you started the Great PNW, did you think that you would be working with the Seattle Seahawks and Rainier Beer and all? I mean, did you envision that? Did you
Yeah.
see that coming?
Yeah, totally. That was one thing. Not maybe not like Rainier Beer might not have been on the radar, but like definitely, I'm like, oh, there'll come a time we'll probably work with the Seahawks. I would assume. I don't know why, but like, so when we got the email, I was like super blown away. Like, holy shit, this is
It's happening.
This is happening.
Yeah.
At the same time, like I really believe in what we were doing, so I wasn't surprised when they wanted to collab with a local Northwest clothing company that they chose us over anybody else. I mean, there's brands over in Seattle, and they chose us out of Spokane, which is cool. It says a lot about our team and what we're putting out there, that they see that level just vastly different, which is something that like I'm super proud of. Like most everything that the team puts out, like we're stoked on. There are times we put lines out and it's like, dang, how did we kind of miss the mark there on certain designs? But
generally super proud. And then
Yeah.
are there certain artists that you collaborate with as well that aren't on staff? Like I saw
Yeah.
something about like Jesse Pierpoint and some other artists
Yeah.
that you've worked with before.
Yeah. Pierpoint. He's one of my good buddies, and yeah, he's done some stuff for us in the past, and we did some stuff with an artist over in Seattle, Kyler Martz. He's a tattoo artist, and we raised, I think $10,000 or $11,000 during COVID with the sale of like one design that
Wow.
that he designed, and we put that out there, and we were able to make a donation to Big Table, which has offices in Spokane and Seattle. So yeah, we don't do a lot of like outside designers every once in a while, but for most part, it's like our in-house team or myself.
And do you have any new kind of passion projects that are coming, or personal art projects? Like what are some of your kind of creative projects you might have coming?
Yeah. Honestly, I do a little bit of like nonprofit work through Bison. Like if they want a cool T-shirt or a hat, I'll like donate my time to design that stuff. But for the most part, like the Great PNW takes up like all my time. I mean, one kind of offshoot, which has just been fun, and actually Jesse Pierpoint has designed all the packaging and everything, is I think kind of funny is we're 10 years later. So I filmed our first Kickstarter October of 2012. This July we'll be filming another Kickstarter for a company we're starting, spinoff of the Great PNW. It's PNW Provisions. It's like our logo. It's a whole snack food line. So like it's pretty cool how the world works. Like Pierpoint is designed all the packaging for us. So yeah, we're launching that, and that is like super exciting because it's a world I know nothing about.
So
but,
that's
like,
the next big thing that's
kind of
coming.
the next big thing is like,
Yeah.
wow, like trail mix, caffeine bars, snack bars, like that's kind of the core products we're starting with. And but yeah, we're like storyboarding out like what this Kickstarter is going to be, and I'm like I'm not a fan of being on camera at all, like all this, like but like I'm the one who has to tell this story, so so we're doing that in a few weeks, filming that and getting that launched. And yeah,
So what do you love most about the Great PNW, about living in the Pacific Northwest?
oh, just living here, that's easy. Just well, really Spokane, like Spokane is so different. Like I can only handle so much of like Seattle, Portland, any bigger city, but overall just like outside like the bigger cities, like just the pace of life, like it is so chill. And like anytime I go on vacation, like you can ask my wife, I'm like itching to get home. Like if we're in California or something, like I just want to be home. Like this, it just, I like leaving, but like I truly do just like love it in Spokane. And
So you love the pace of life here.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems, I mean, you have lots of friends here. For me,
Yeah.
I love that people here are so generous of spirit. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
here is just kind and
Totally.
interested in other people and
Yeah.
and love
Yeah.
their community. So it
Yeah.
seems like that's what you embody at the
Yeah.
Great PNW. And
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean that's what's been one of the funnest things a few years back is because we really didn't like own the like, oh, we're from Spokane, but you know, over the years doing more collabs like with the Inlander and their winter party um and other local nonprofits and stuff, like we should really like put that on a pedestal. Like, oh, we are here in Spokane. Like people assume we're in Seattle or Portland a lot of the time. So that's really where it's like, no, we're from Spokane, and do it any way we can help out in the community and like wave that flag for Spokane, like we do totally.
yeah, we've
So,
moved past Spokane doesn't suck, right? And now we're into
Yeah.
Spokane is awesome. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that we finally have gotten there, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's been cool to see it over, and also just growing up here and becoming an adult and watching your other friends. Like I say this a lot, but like for me, where I see a lot of changes with Terrain, the arts nonprofit, like Luke and Ginger, like they've really like moved that needle a lot for people my age and just in Spokane in general. Like
For promoting artists. I mean, they do
Yeah.
like the From Here store and everything they have
Totally.
going on. Yeah. Ginger,
Yeah.
I talked to Ginger
Yeah.
about, I think that everything that Train puts out is just
yeah,
amazing.
and I'm like, if Spokane didn't have Terrain, like
It wouldn't be Spokane.
yeah, where would we be, you know? And
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean that's for me, it's awesome to see that and like watch that grow, watch that influence grow, and really seeing a lot of, and truly as social media has allowed artists to not have to have, like I lived it, like didn't have to have a ton of capital to, or zero really, to start a business. We did a Kickstarter. If you have the good idea, you have the resources to take your creative endeavor and make an actual sustainable business out of it. And then it just kind of grows from there. If you can make smart business decisions and, you know, depending on your business, how do you spin off and grow that, you know? But
So like really believing your own innovative spirit and going for it.
yeah, totally. It's like, there's really nothing stopping you than yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you hear it a lot. It's like, oh, I just don't have the time. I'm like,
Just make the time.
don't tell me you don't have the time. Yeah.
Well,
So-
thank you for taking the time to
Yeah,
come
totally.
and talk with me and talk
Yeah.
about the Great PNW and Provisions. Great.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
PNW Provisions
Okay.
is like the small type on the back, but it's going to be branded. It's the Great PNW, like on all the packaging. It's our logo on the front and stuff.
Cool.
So,
Well, I can't
yeah.
wait to see what comes
Yeah.
next. So thank you again for taking the
yeah,
time.
absolutely.